Coming up tonight, on the eve of the biggest holiday worldwide, a man loses his life on the streets of the capital. Plus, gold is not afraid of the melting pot. Nestled on a spot on Cable Beach is a fabulous property called Goldwyn. And with the Boxing Day parade just around the corner, some Junkanooers have already lost their lovers, that is, rendering them ill with a dreadful case of makobi. That's just too much for me. Our Jean Joseph has all the details straight ahead. This is Our News Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. This Christmas Eve marred with tragedy after a man was struck by a box truck shortly after 12:30 p.m. in the area of Urbana Street and Peach Street. The family of a man that was struck by a box truck crying out this afternoon as they mourn the loss of a loved one. Police Press Liaison Superintendent Chrislyn Skipping says the incident occurred shortly after 12:30 p.m.
The white box truck was traveling west along Peach Street when the top of the box truck became entangled with wires in the area. Residents attempted to stop the box truck to let him know what was going on, and to a certain degree, they assisted. However, an altercation ensued between the driver of the box truck and residents. It's further reported that during the altercation, a weapon was produced.
She says that's when the driver of the truck attempted to leave the area.
The deceased, who was assisting the driver and directing him through, was pinned between the white box truck and a stationary black truck that had just turned west onto Peach Street.
As it relates to the driver of that box truck,
he left the scene and he actually went to the Grove Police Station, and so we presently have him in custody, and he is assisting us with our investigations at this time.
Here's her message to drivers of big trucks or any other vehicles that may be taller than the average vehicle.
Try as far as possible to stay to the main road. Wires in this area are pretty low, and it's the safest thing to do right now.
Superintendent Skippings is sending a strong warning to the motoring public this holiday season.
Tomorrow's Christmas. Young people or young children, some of them will receive bikes for Christmas. They're going to be out and about riding their bikes. Please, motoring public, slow down, adhere to the speed limit within the respective areas. I can assure you that as a law enforcement agency, we are out in full force, and we will enforce the law.
Bahamas Air seeing an influx of passengers this holiday season as people across the country travel to shop, visit family members and friends, or just to simply relax. Bahamas Air's managing director, Tracy Cooper, says the company is able to accommodate the demand.
We have persons who are calling trying to figure out if we could put on additional flights right now. So we think that we have met reasonably the demand for the holidays, but our flights are full, and there have been a lot of Mr. and Mrs. clauses, so our belly have been full as well.
The airline had some delays earlier this week. Cooper explaining the reason for those delays.
You're having congestion sometimes in CBP, US CBP, congestion in the airport as a whole, and that would tell you that they're a bit concerned in peak times, simply getting the airplanes to the gates and back off the gates.
Residents on Grand Bahama can soon expect to see shovels in the ground as the Davis administration intends to begin construction on a new state-of-the-art hospital in the beginning of 2023. The Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, providing media with this update.
We predict very soon, as we speak, the tractors are on the potential site. We're finalizing the topographic studies. Once that's complete, we will definitely have our architects do the site plan, and once that's done, we're pretty much close to requests for proposals. And once we get requests for proposals in, then we will be able to award the contract. But I want the residents of Grand Bahama to know that we have been working very diligently on this project since the Prime Minister made an announcement last year, latter part of this year, and steps are being made continuously.
He says contracts have been signed and teams are on the ground ready to mobilize.
The contract has already been signed with the Beck Group. The Beck Group has already received their deposit. We are in communication with the building department at the Port Authority, yes, and we are constantly moving rapidly for groundbreaking.
And as it relates to those potential sites,
right next to WASA, the medical school, right as you approach off the main thoroughfare and you turn in, that particular site. We acquired some 50-something acres of land, and the geotechnical studies have been done on the land. The reason why I didn't speak about it is because you cannot give a site if we found sinkholes or we found some abnormalities with the rock. It could not sustain a multi-story facility. I am convinced now with those studies that we are well on our way, and that is the new site.
And if you've seen modular trailers on the grounds of the Rand Memorial Hospital, Dr. Darville explains why.
Because they are there, we're now ready to put these hurricane-resistant modular units to improve the delivery of healthcare services, particularly at our emergency room, and to debundle that pressure that we have been experiencing for the last year.
Just after the break, the chairman of Save the Bays speaks out to save our reefs. And if you have makobi and are too ashamed to admit it, rest assured the man beside you in the Junkanoo shack might have it too. Jean Joseph has the story when our News Weekend edition returns. Welcome back. Save the Bay's Executive Chairman Joe Darville sounding the alarm over a cruise ship that was set to make a stop off Lucaya in Grand Bahama. Darville telling our news incidents like these threaten the seabeds. He says the area is home to a large amount of coral reefs.
We are very much concerned about anything happening that's going to destroy not just the fact that we have coral grounds out there, but also the fishery. This is where Bahamians from Grand Bahama go to get conch, lobster, and fish generally. So we are surprised.
While he is all for anything that boosts Grand Bahama's economy, Darville says the ship should have docked in the harbor. He also noted the Prime Minister's push for climate change.
There is a contradiction, and I want my Prime Minister to clear that up for Joe Darville, because, you know, I admire him and all he's doing for the country, but at times I'm just wondering what drives this particular phenomenon. Is it going to be sufficient economy in Lucaya area to rehabilitate our coral reefs when we have probably the most productive coral growing area in the world?
On the way, our Jean Joseph tells us about a wicked case of makobi. Junkanooers, you know what that is. And that magical place called Goldwyn. We have the details when our News Weekend edition returns. welcome back. For those of you who don't want to cook for the holidays and would rather have someone do it for you, Junkanoo at the Island House has something in store for you. Our Sasha Lightborn explains in this report.
By now, you've probably already made that list and checked it twice when it comes to grocery and gift shopping. But what about those of you who don't want to take on the daunting task of preparing that Christmas meal for your family or meals throughout the holidays? Well, Junkanoo has something for you. The restaurant's head and executive chef, Giorgio Locatelli, explains Junkanoo in a box.
You know, everybody wants to go out for Christmas or New Year's, but also they don't want to take the bother to cook a whole meal at home. So we have prepared this Junkanoo at home, which starts from today until the 26th for the Christmas periods, as a package which contains a meal with 4 courses, all ready for you to do, just ready to be baked or finished, just last few touches to be made. But they look very professional, so it looks like you've been cooking them.
And for those of you who will still choose to go out to eat, he explains what you can expect from the restaurant.
Well, they can expect a very warm place to come and have lunch and dinner, and we have some special dishes that obviously characterize Italian Christmas. So, for example, we have panettone bread and butter puddings and things like that. Then there are, typical things that you eat all the way around Christmas.
Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightborn.
Sounds delicious. Thanks, Sasha. Well, as you enter picturesque Cable Beach, over to your right, nestled on a flawless beach, is Goldwyn. Our producer, Tanya Smith-Cartwright, paid a visit to the property this week and had a sit-down. Well, or maybe a stand-up with the owner, Paul Wynn. Here's that report.
Gold is not afraid of a melting pot, and Paul Wynn is not afraid of hard work. He is the developer and brainchild behind Goldwyn Resorts and Residence on Cable Beach. We have seen this development transform from a demolished structure to a spanking new building. Just what is Goldwyn? Here's Paul.
It's a hotel with residences. One part is residences, and the other section is a hotel condo and hotel rooms. So it's 3 for 1, I guess.
Wynn, who has developments in the Caribbean, the Middle East, and North America, did not leave out Bahamians when planning Goldwyn, the resort with some 160 condo units.
It's a hybrid of a boutique hotel development and a larger hotel development, as you can see by the restaurants and the lobbies. And our concept is to make this very accessible to Bahamians. It's all Bahamian art. All the artwork here is done by Bahamians. There will be Bahamian artists working here, Bahamian musicians, and the restaurant is owned by a local family here that has several restaurants, and this will be their showcase restaurant. So our hope is really that because of quality in food, pricing, and accessibility, that this will be frequented by the people in the neighborhood and other neighborhoods in the Bahamas.
While interviewing my friend Paul, I asked the magic question: when is this beautiful property going to be opened? I thought it was ready, but here are his thoughts on it.
Development is usually development hell, especially towards the end. There's a lot of moving parts, but we are taking bookings for the first week of February, and it will be a soft opening. The restaurant, Eel, and Bar Paul will be open the first week of February.
Just when he thought the hard question was done, I hit him with another magic question and even tried to guess the answer.
I can only say it costs too much.
I stopped counting.
Yeah.
Was I at 120 million, I think?
I wish it was 120 million. It's substantially more, but the quality of construction is very, very high. We've hit the highest standard, and there's almost nobody that visits here who is not quite impressed by what we've built here.
Amenities at this type of resort is a big deal. Here's the developer on what Goldwyn has for those who buy into it. Even those who are just visiting nearby Goodman's Bay are not left out.
We have a pool on the roof, which is for the residents only. We have, of course, have a very large pool, which I imagine you'll film after, an infinity pool here on the water. We have 6 cabanas for private pool service that the restaurant's large kitchen will take care of. And that's about it, with the exception of a bar that's connected to the beach for people on Goodman's Bay Park to be able to access.
Wynn says February will mark the opening of his development, and he will be very active in overseeing it come to fruition. For our News Weekend Edition, this is Tanya Smith-Cartwright at Goldwyn.
Thanks so much, Tanya. And still to come for the Junkanoo fans who are worried about the weather because Boxing Day is this weekend. The weather report is up next after this break. Tired, depressed, lost your love to the shack? You have a case of makobi. Our Jean Joseph has the skinny. Stay tuned. You've got to see this. Welcome back. Bah humbug. There is a cold front currently lingering across the central Bahamas, producing quite a bit of cloudiness with light rain showers. This front will likely stall tonight through tomorrow. Let's take a look at what's in store weather-wise over the next few days. Groups spend most of the year practicing religiously and getting costumes completed for the road. Along the way, some find love and some find heartbreak. And Junkanoo breakups are notoriously bad. Our Jean Joseph tells us about a side of Junkanoo most people want to avoid facing.
Feelings may surface for a special guy or girl over time as members spend months together preparing for the parades. And though we all want that perfect Junkanoo love story that Julian Believe sings about, sometimes it's just not meant to be. Singer Cupid knows the feeling all too well, even paying tribute to makobi in song.
Makobi is an experience that you go through during, I guess, heartbreak. You don't even know you get makobi until someone tell you what it is that you experience.
Dennis Saunders, a builder with the Valley Boys, says he wants no part of it.
Nobody wants to experience makobi because when that happens, you actually don't want to do anything Junkanoo. You forget about pasting, you can't eat, you're losing weight. Individuals who never used to drink before, they start drinking, they probably indulge in smoking. Yeah, just to try to get your mind off that relationship and the person.
The term, derived from the Belizean Creole makobi, means love sickness. The Haitian Creole word makobi, meaning deformed, in bad shape, or ugly, sums up the makobi experience.
If you go to practice, or you going in the shack, especially if they're a Junkanoo woman or a man, you gotta see them. So that even makes it harder.
The feeling is all too familiar for many Junkanoos.
You get dudes sitting down, but they use it as the shack as a refuge to get away. You can see when they done lose 5-10 pounds, they don't want to eat, they don't want to sleep. The only thing they want to do is sit down in the shack and what we call kais. Just look at the costumes. You know, you could see it, but they do. It's hand and gloves sometimes too, so you could tell. We could tell when one of our soldiers wounded.
Saunders gives this advice to avoid catching makobi.
Just be straight across the board in all the spectrum, you know, in your dealings, and communicate. That's key in any relationship. Not only just Junkanoo terminology and makobi. You know, a lot of people don't communicate. They don't compromise, and most of the times stuff that they've done in the past to get the woman or to get the man, they fall off. You ain't consistent, you ain't committed. So somebody else can come, like the song everybody jamming now in Junkanoo, while you're looking for sugar, someone will taste, guarantee it, the honey.
You learn something new every day, and I just learned that I don't want any parts of makobi. Thank you so much for joining us for our News Weekend edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepherd. Have a wonderful Christmas Eve. See you tomorrow.